Phi Beta Kappa. The fraternity known as Phi Beta Kappa was organized in 1776 by students at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, the second oldest in the country, founded in 1694, as a secret debating club. It was later infiltrated, and used to introduce Illuminati principles to America. Their name was derived from their Greek password and motto, Philosophia Biou Kuberwaits, which means, philosophy is the guide of life. Open only to university students, their goal was to make philosophy, not religion, the guiding principle of man's actions. They had secret hand signals and handshakes up to 1831, when it was reorganized and changed from a social organization to an honorary society for upper-class-men with high scholastic standing. During the 1700s, when it looked as though the fraternity would fold, one of its members, Elisha Parmalee, received a grant to establish chapters at Yale in 1780. Yale professor of history, Gaddis Smith, said, "Yale has influenced the Central Intelligence Agency more than any other university, giving the CIA the atmosphere of a class reunion," and at Harvard in 1781. They later grew to have chapters on 270 campuses, and with more than 500,000 members. Among their members have been, Tom Brokaw, NBC commentator, Glenn Close, actress, Francis Ford Coppola, noted film director, Henry Kissinger, U.S. Secretary of State, 1973 to 1977, Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs, 1969-75, Chris Christopherson, singer/actor, Dean Rusk, Presidential Advisor, Howard K. Smith, ABC commentator, Caspar Weinberger, U.S. Secretary of Defense, 1981-87, John D. Rockefeller Jr., Nelson Rockefeller, President George H.W. Bush, President Jimmy Carter, President Bill Clinton, President Franklin Roosevelt, President Woodrow Wilson, Governor Jeb Bush, from Florida, Senator Joseph Lieberman, from Connecticut, Byron White, Supreme Court Justice, and Elihu Root, Secretary of State, 1905 to 1909, served in the U.S. Senate, 1909 to 1915, was President of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, 1910 to 1925. To be fair here, I have to say that the inclusion of Phi Beta Kappa is by no means intended to downplay the academic achievements of its thousands of members, or to give the connotation of it being an evil organization. However, its dubious beginnings, and the fact that many people in influential positions have come from their ranks, it certainly is reason enough to take note. But more than that, when you see their membership cross over into other organizations such as the Bilderbergers, Council on Foreign Relations, and Trilateral Commission, then you begin to see it as a possible breeding ground for people who are favorable to the international agenda that is leading to one world government. Skull and Bones. The Skull and Bones organization was founded at Yale University in 1832 by General William Huntington Russell, who later served in the Connecticut State Legislature 1846-47, and Alphonso Taft, U.S. Secretary of War in 1876, Attorney General 1886-87, U.S. Minister to Austria 1882-84, U.S. Ambassador to Russia 1884-85, and the father of former President William Howard Taft, and incorporated in 1856 by Russell and Daniel Colt Gilman, under the name the Russell Trust Association. Russell had visited Germany that year, where he was exposed to the Illuminati, and possibly initiated. He wanted to establish a similar group in America, where their sons could become members of a secret order that would give them a favored status. It became a Black Lodge of Freemasonry. In 1873, some Yale students broke into their headquarters, a windowless building called the Tomb adjacent to the campus, where they discovered their insignia, the Skull and Bones, along with some real skulls and bones. They wrote in the Yale newspaper, The Iconoclast, "Year by year the deadly evil of the Skull and Bones is growing." And quote. The Russell Trust is endowed by $54 million in alumni grants, and it is the alumni who control the group. Anthony C. Sutton, a former economics professor at Stanford University, wrote a 4-volume series of books on the group, and revealed the names of 30 influential old-line American families who have contributed to its ranks, some of which can trace their lineage back to the 1600s, when they arrived from England, including Whitney, Lord, Phelps, Wadsworth, Allen, Bundy, Adams, Harriman, Rockefeller, Payne, Davison, and Pratt. Every year, 15 juniors are chosen to be members, and are called knights. Upon graduation, they are called the patriarchs of the order. Since its inception, over 2,500 Yale graduates have been initiated. Its members have assimilated themselves into every area of business and government. Members have included W. Averell Harriman, Governor of New York, and advisor to various Democratic presidents; William P. Bundy, editor of the CFR's journal Foreign Affairs; J. Hugh Leakey, co-founder of Pennzoil Oil Corporation; John Kerry, U.S. Senator from Massachusetts; David Boren, U.S. Senator from Oklahoma; William Sloane Coffin, President of Sane/Freeze, Phi Beta Kappa, William F. Buckley, conservative commentator, editor of the National Review magazine, Gifford Pinchot, father of the environmental movement, Potter Stewart, Supreme Court Justice, William H. Taft, 27th President, Archibald MacLeish, founder of UNESCO, Harold Stanley, investment banker, founder of Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter Jr., investment banker, Henry Luce, head of Time/Life magazines, Henry P. Davison, senior partner of Morgan Guaranty Trust, Alfred Cowles, of Cowles Communications, Richard Ely Danielson, of the Atlantic Monthly magazine, Winston Lord, chairman of the CFR, ambassador to China and assistant secretary of state in the Clinton administration, Russell Wheeler Davenport, of Fortune magazine, McGeorge Bundy, national security advisor for President John Kennedy, John Sherman Cooper, U.S. Senator from Kentucky, John H. Chafee, U.S. Senator from Rhode Island, Henry Stimson, Secretary of State for President Herbert Hoover, Robert A. Lovett, Secretary of Defense for President Harry Truman, George H. W. Bush, 41st President, Bilderberger, CFR and Trilateral Commission member until 1980, and George W. Bush, 43rd President. Nicknamed Bonesmen, these establishment elites have become members of the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations, and have achieved high-level positions in the administrations of various presidents, the Congress, and the government, in various capacities. From these positions, they can use their influence to work towards their common goal of one world government. Both the Skull and Bones, and Phi Beta Kappa, are indicative of the way the Illuminati functions. They know that if they can grab, control, and mold young minds, then they will have unwitting pawns to do their bidding, and could be called upon to contribute to their efforts. The early history of the Illuminati was nothing more than a seed that was planted. That is why there was a big emphasis on infiltrating educational institutions with their doctrine. As each class graduated through the educational systems of the world, the more people there were to perpetuate their plans. In time, the Illuminati knew they would have enough of the right people, in the right places, for them to secretly further their goals.